Namaste. So now let us cover out cognizance. The chapter starts with conditions requisite for initiation of proceedings. What does this mean? So whatever we have studied till now in about 50 odd lectures in the course, we still are yet to start the trial. In fact, issue of process भी इसके बाद आता है. So cognizance is a crucial topic, and write this thing down. Cognizance is taking judicial notice, or it means taking judicial notice by the court of law possessing jurisdiction on a matter presented before it so as to decide whether there is any basis for initiating proceedings. This was quoted in Subramaniam Swamy versus Manmohan Singh in 2012. Now, cognizance is nowhere defined in the court. If you actually go to section 2, you will find cognizable offenses, of course, but you will not find the word cognizance. So cognizance is basically आपके कुंभकर्ण साहब अब जाग रहे हैं, it's beginning to take notice of कि अरे कुछ हो गया है, we may just want to initiate our proceedings now and then proceed ahead for trial. Up till now, whatever we have studied, we have basically dragged the offense from the stage of the police, and now we are nearing the magistrates before going to a court of law. All right, we'll create the flow charts very soon in the course. Now, cognizance is nowhere defined, as I've already said. Do you need the accused at present? As in, do you need the accused to be present for the magistrate to take cognizance? No, that's not a necessity. 190, as it says, chapter 14, conditions requisite for initiation of proceedings. 190 you have to remember by heart. There is no way that you're going to sit for the judicial prelims without having 190 and remembering it by heart. Now let us understand the crucial ingredients of the section. 190, cognizance of offenses by magistrates. We're talking about magistrates here, all right? Subject to the provision of this chapter, any magistrate of the first class, any of it, but not the second class. Second class के लिए साथ यहाँ पे condition है. And any magistrate of the second class specially empowered in this behalf under subsection 2. We'll get to subsection 2 later. अच्छा चलिए, later भी छोड़िए, थोड़ा सा तुक्का मारते हैं. Who can empower the magistrate of second class to take cognizance? अभी तक हम देख के आए हैं, ज़्यादातर ये power किसके पास होती है? Chief Judicial Magistrate, the CJM, of course. All right. May take cognizance of any offense. May है, shall नहीं है. Is it an obligation upon the magistrate to take cognizance? Not really. Can a magistrate order an investigation before taking cognizance? Yes. 156 याद आ रहा है? थोड़ी बहुत दिमाग में घंटी बजी हो कि हाँ वहाँ पे कुछ हुआ था. चलिए अभी आ रहे हैं जरा 2 मिनट उस चीज़ों पे. A, that is subsection 1 clause A, upon receiving a complaint of facts which constitute such offense, make a short note on this. So basically I want you to remember these 3 clauses A, B and C. You need to remember. Very important question, mains के अंदर भी ये सवाल आते हैं, write about cognizance, और यहाँ पे तो ये आ ही रहा है prelims के अंदर. तो वो बेसिकली मल्टी मोड क्वेश्चन बना देंगे आपके पास. मल्टी मॉडल MCQ is what? A, B, C, D, and then they're going to ask you 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, or all of the above. Those sort of prelims के questions. Upon receiving a complaint of facts which constitute such offense, complaint कहाँ दी थी? कहीं कहीं कुछ दिमाग में आ रहा हो section 2. अगर नहीं आ रहा, pause this lecture right now, open section 2 and see where the complaint is mentioned. Upon a police report of such facts, police report के बारे में हमने कहाँ बात करी थी जी? 173. You remember? Now, and upon information received from any person other than a police officer, this has also been discussed in the course prior, or upon his own knowledge that such offense has been committed. So suo motu cognizance. LLB entrance के time पे suo motu cognizance सब रट के गए थे. This is that, upon his own knowledge कि जी इनको पता चल गया, the magistrate has decided to take notice or has become aware of that, oh, something has happened and I need to initiate proceedings. But we'll keep the investigation in 156 subsection 3 separate, and we'll keep the cognizance के बाद order की हुई investigation separate. That is a very, very crucial point. Watch out for that. Okay. Now, subsection 2, the Chief Judicial Magistrate may empower any magistrate of second class to take cognizance under subsection 1 of such offences as are within his competence to inquire or try. I don't think that I need to say anything more on this. So, become aware of, to take note of judicially precedent of holding a valid trial. ट्रायल से पहले कॉग्निसेंस होगी ही होगी, बिना कॉग्निसेंस के आप इशू ऑफ प्रोसेस में नहीं जा सकते, और कॉग्निसेंस के बिना जब इस स्टेज पे नहीं पहुंचे कॉग्निसेंस और इशू ऑफ प्रोसेस, तो ट्रायल कहाँ से हो जाएगा, क्योंकि अभी चार्ज भी तो बनाना है। अभी तक माइंड यू पुलिस वालों ने इन्वेस्टिगेशन करी थी, करेक्ट, so they did everything. We also spoke about how the statement is going to be recorded, what is the evidentiary value of the police, that is in confessions made to the police or any statements made to the police, etc. अभी तक हम वहाँ पहुँचे थे। Remember, mind you, अभी तक हमने चार्ज नहीं बनाया है। We haven't told the accused that we're going to try you out for this, audi alteram partem, correct? We have to hear the other side. But in a criminal trial, we have to tell them, why are we trying you and for what offenses are we trying you? We have to see charge, which is the topic after this one. All right, 190 subsection 1 clause ABC, rote learn it. There is no other way out of it. Even if you cannot rote learn word to word, obviously, because there are so many sections to remember, but at least A, clause B, clause C के जो main जो pointer हैं कि किस किस case में the magistrate of the first class is taking cognizance, please have to. So as soon as we go to 190, we have to go to 200 as well. Chapter 15, complaints to magistrate. Examination of complainant. A magistrate taking cognizance of an offence on complaint. Complaint आई है magistrate के पास. Then what shall the magistrate do now? Examine upon the oath the complainant and the witnesses present, if any. And the substance of such examination shall be reduced to writing and shall be signed by the complainant and the witnesses and also by the magistrate. Complainant आया magistrate के पास. Whatever the complaint has been, reduce it into writing, sign it so that we obviously have a record. Presuming, let us say that the complaint has come via letter or has been submitted, via in writing. Do you actually now need to, how will you reduce it into writing further? Obviously, it's already reduced, so we need not examine the complainant on this stage. Provided that when the complaint is made in writing, the magistrate need not examine the complainant and the witnesses because it's coming in writing already. If a public servant acting or purporting to act in the discharge of his official duties or a court has made the complaint, because public servant is giving, so we already, they already have authority, so we already have a backup, so the magistrate has some sort of authenticity or validity for this claim, so you need not examine the complainant. If the magistrate makes over the inquiry or trial to another magistrate under section 192, so this is, we have to discuss 192, we'll just do it in a bit, but under 192, so if the magistrate is about to take cognizance but transfers the case over to another magistrate, अब वो same काम दोबारा थोड़े ना repeat करेगा, right? So under these two conditions, the magistrate need not examine. But otherwise, generally speaking, yes, then of course, if you find some substance in the claim, well, then you call the complainant over and ask, भाई क्या problem हो गई है? Why are you skipping the police? और या पुलिस वालों ने ऐसी कौन सी बदतमीजी कर दी आपके साथ, right? क्योंकि पिताजी और पुलिस मैजिस्ट्रेट बिठा ही इसलिए रखा है कि पुलिस वाले ज्यादा गुंडागर्दी ना करें, और मैजिस्ट्रेट के ऊपर चीफ जुडिशियल मैजिस्ट्रेट भी इसलिए बिठा रखे हैं कि मैजिस्ट्रेट साहब भी कहीं घुल मिल ना जाए, संगत में थोड़ी बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. Provided that if the magistrate makes over the case to another magistrate, that is, assigns the case to another one under section 192, after examining the complainant and witnesses, the latter magistrate need not re-examine them. मतलब अगर ये यहाँ पे लिखा भी नहीं होता, it is pretty much common sense. Otherwise, अगर हम यही काम करते रहेंगे, the criminal trial procedure is going to take a hell lot of time, right? अच्छा, जो जैसे हमने वो जो शब्द करा था, may is not equal to must. Write it down, HDFC Securities versus State of Maharashtra. So that's the case law in which it was elucidated upon, and people approach the court a hell lot of time for CRPC. That is why this code ki interpretation keeps on changing from years to years, and then more and more clarifications keep on coming in via the basis of case laws. Now, cognizance is cognizance issuance of process, as in as soon as you've taken cognizance, that means that you will issue summons, you have to issue warrants, or is it equal to issuing of summons, warrants, etc. under 204? The answer is no. Cognizance is a separate story altogether. Issuance of process follows taking the cognizance. Answer is State of Karnataka versus Pastor P. Raju. That's a 2006 case law. Please write it down. Then, can a magistrate order investigation before taking cognizance? Now remember, cognizance to 190 में दे रखी है. But we studied something known as section 156 subsection 3, right? अगर दिमाग में घंटी नहीं बजी है, pause this video right now, go back in the course and watch the section 156 वाला lecture. Have to, alright? So write down the case law, Mohammad Yusuf versus Afaq Jahan. I believe this is the standard case law. मुझे तुक्का भी मारना हो in questions of CRPC prelims, I'm going to mark this case law, even if I don't remember which case law it was decided in, because this is such a pivotal case law. In fact, if you refer back to your notes, you're going to see this case law being quoted a lot. All right. Now, can you order investigation? Of course you can under 156 subsection 3. And at that stage, the magistrate has not taken cognizance. You are just ordering investigation कीजिए, मुझे इसके अंदर लग रही है कोई गड़बड़, आप जरा you just investigate a bit more before I take judicial notice / become aware of what has happened or what offense has been committed. Okay. Now, what does chapter 12 say? Information to the police and their powers to investigate. So let us revise 156 subsection 3 in just a tiny brief detail. Now, what was the chapter? Chapter 12 was information to the police and their powers to investigate. The police wale ke paas information aayi of a cognizable offense, right? 156, one of the most crucial sections of the CRPC. Go to subsection 3. Any magistrate empowered under section 190 may order such an investigation as above mentioned. We are under chapter 12 here, so we haven't taken cognizance. That is why chapters are very important in the CRPC, and they're very easy to remember provided that you know the flow of things in the CRPC. Now, what is cognizance? How will you take cognizance and who exactly is taking cognizance? How? You are taking cognizance upon complaint, upon police report, and any person who can take cognizance, either magistrate of the first class or either a second class empowered by the chief judicial magistrate. That's the core crux of 190. Now we go to 191, transfer on application of the accused. Crucial section, mark it in your Bear Act. When a magistrate takes cognizance of an offense under clause C of subsection 1 of section 90, we're talking about clause C specifically here, the accused shall, before any evidence is taken, be informed. So it is the duty of the magistrate, compulsory duty, obligatory hai, be informed that he is entitled to have the case inquired into or tried by another magistrate. Why? ये तो बड़ा आसान है मेरे को भी बोलना बोर्ड से कि अरे हाँ ऐसा ऐसा होगा. क्यों? सोच के देखिएगा. What is the intent of the legislature when they must have given this statute to us? What exactly is happening? Let us go back to 190. Upon information received from any person other than a police officer. हो सकता है ना that any person is your जानी दुश्मन and has now approached the magistrate कि भाई साहब ये जरा देखना यहाँ गड़बड़ हो रही है. Or upon his own knowledge, let us say magistrate is your chacha or taya, who you don't exactly like and who has a property dispute with you, and there is some sort of personal enmity involved, and he wants to start or rather has become aware in a very devil horn type of way, in a very evil way, that now let us, वो जो इतने साल की जो मैंने मेहनत करी थी to clear judiciary, now I'm going to use it, right? So we have covered both these scenarios. We have put a check and balance on both of these cases कि अगर accused को लग रहा है यहाँ पे कि अरे ये तो मेरे साथ बदतमीजी हो रही है यहाँ पे, that the guy who is complaining is a jani dushman of mine, or the magistrate himself or herself is has some undue influence, or there is something going on in his head and there is some connection between you two and he's misusing his authority, you have a right. He's entitled to have the case inquired into or tried by another magistrate. See how beautiful. CRPC is actually, in fact, to tell you honestly, if you pick up all Bear Acts, it is pretty much one of the most beautiful statutes that has been created. It covers out, it's like a chessboard. You move one piece, we have another piece moving. We are going after the kings and queens, but in a very systematic manner in which we are covering out all domains and having a check and balance on all areas, basically. Inquired or tried by another magistrate and the accused or any of the accused, if there be more than one, object to further proceeding before the magistrate taking cognizance, the case shall be, it is compulsorily transferred to such magistrate as may be specified by the chief judicial magistrate in this behalf. भाई अब लड़ाई हो गई है तो CJM will come and basically tell you which magistrate or who is exactly going to proceed ahead. Correct? Now 192, making over of cases to magistrate. So we aren't exactly transferring the case to the other magistrate. We are making over to the other magistrate. That's the formal legal language. Please write it down. Any chief judicial magistrate may, after taking cognizance of an offence, make over the case for inquiry or trial to any competent magistrate subordinate to him. So he's delegating the case to any competent one. Any magistrate of the first class empowered in this behalf by the CJM may, after taking cognizance of an offence, make over the case for inquiry or trial to such other competent magistrate as the CJM may by general or special order specify. Basically, CJM has delegated the case or made over the case to someone. The magistrate now who has gotten the case will transfer it, provided that the CJM tells him by general or special order that you make over the case to the other magistrate. Cognizance of offences by Court of Sessions, except as otherwise expressly provided by this code, sounds something like Article 310 of the Constitution, Doctrine of the Pleasure of the President, or by any other law for the time being in force. So this is now exception. No court of session shall take cognizance of any offence as a court of original jurisdiction. What does original jurisdiction mean? Article 131 of the Indian Constitution, where a Supreme Court is excluding all other courts to hear disputes between center versus state, center and state versus state, state versus state, right? That was original jurisdiction, just revising the Constitution a bit. So original jurisdiction, that means court of session cannot exclude anybody else except as otherwise expressly provided by this court. So there are statutes in which this is being done, and one of such is 199 subsection 2. We'll just get to that. Unless the case has been committed to it by a magistrate under this court. The magistrate has taken the case to the court of session, then obviously you take cognizance. But otherwise, no court of session shall take cognizance of any offence. As a court of original jurisdiction, that means you cannot exclude others. 195, prosecuted for contempt of lawful authorities of public servant. Section 188 IPC मास्क वास्क के चलान चल रहे थे शुरू में, मतलब 188 के तहत चल रहे थे. No court shall take cognizance of any offence punishable under 172 to 188, both inclusive of the IPC, of any abetment or attempt to commit such offence, or any criminal conspiracy to commit such offence, except on the complaint in writing of the public servant concerned or some other public servant to whom he is administratively subordinate. Public servant से written में complaint नहीं आएगी. For 172 to 188, criminal conspiracy 120A, B, associated with 172 to 188, or abetment or attempt of any of the offences. Attempt कहाँ पे? 511 of the IPC. जागो मोहन प्यारे, जुडिशरी की तैयारी में सब कुछ याद करना है prelims में. There is no other way out, right? No court shall take offence except the complaint has to come in writing from the public servant. Why? Why? Think about it. 172 to 188 क्या दे रखे? Pause the lecture right now. Open IPC की Bare Act. Go to 172 to 188 and think. कि court shall not take cognizance. भैया अगर if court only has to take cognizance of everything on its own, why are these public servants there? 172 to 188 is relating to them and how basically their powers of the public. Then why exactly are we paying them a salary? Court ही सब कुछ कर लेगा. Everywhere in the Indian legal system we have bifurcated powers to each and every one. तो सब लोग अपना अपना कार्य करें तो ये देश उन्नति करेगा. Okay. Now we go आगे. This is not really important for the purposes of prelims, but if you want to read, you can. 196. I'm only hinting out at the most important aspects here. And these are all questions, by the way. All of them. You can pick out any state's prelims ka papers for the last 10 years. You will find associated questions to such sections where जो मैं आपको mark करा रहा हूँ. No court shall take cognizance of any offense punishable under chapter 6 or under section 153A of the IPC, a criminal conspiracy to commit any such abetment except with the previous sanction of the central government or the state government. What does it say? Offenses against the state and for criminal conspiracy to commit such offense. Chapter 5A of the IPC came in via an amendment by the 1913 amendment 1913, that is, right? It was criminal conspiracy, and that was to cover out the cases that were left over by section 107 of the IPC, that is amendment ka second legal clause, right? And if it isn't making sense to you, you need to revise IPC, क्योंकि उसके अलावा कोई ऑप्शन है नहीं यहाँ पर। नहीं तो फिर देखो पॉइंट ये नहीं, मेरा तो यहाँ पे बड़ा आसानी से काम है कि मैं आपका फटाफट सिलेबस खत्म कर रहा हूँ, सेक्शन बोर्ड से पढ़ते रहूँ और काम हो जाए। अगर सेक्शन 107 सेकेंडली के बचे कुछ केसेस यू कैन नॉट लिंक विद द 1913 अमेंडमेंट, देन वी नीड टू स्टडी अ बिट मोर। ऐसा नहीं है कि आप नहीं कर सकते और am I just looking down at you, no, nothing like that, but I'm just pointing out the glaring errors that I've seen with my own experience in teaching, that जहाँ मुझे पता है कि that attempt can be ruined, attempt not 511 वाला attempt of the student can be ruined because they are unable to connect all of these dots. And for judiciary, all of these dots are pretty much important because pretty much, everything is interconnected. As you've seen, we have discussed our provisions of the Evidence Act and the CRPC only. It's connected. IPC, of course, is connected because it's the substantive law, this is the procedural law, right? Now, we're talking about chapter 6 here, so we're talking about the chapter 5A ke baad, chapter 6, correct? So, we are talking about criminal conspiracy for offenses against the state. Any such abetment, no court is taking cognizance, right? It is no court, all courts included, except with the previous sanction of the central government or the state government. So if you need to book someone or if you need to initiate proceedings, this is the condition requisite. Before the court can take cognizance, you need previous sanction of the central government or state government. Why? Because these are offenses committed against the state. Otherwise, these sections, chapter 5A, chapter 6 of the IPC, they are way too broad, and otherwise anytime public can actually be harassed by the state machinery. So you again have a check and balance, so you need sanction from the highest level. And मतलब कितने levels बिक सकते हैं, ज़्यादा तो नहीं, नीचे का एक ऑफिसर बिक जाएगा, उसके ऊपर कितने ऑफिसर बिकेंगे, सारी हायरार्की तो नहीं बिक सकती, right? So we need to stop it here. Now, no court shall take cognizance of the offense of any criminal conspiracy punishable under 120B. Mention this, matlab mark it somewhere in your barrack, other than a criminal conspiracy to commit an offense punishable with death, imprisonment for life, or rigorous imprisonment for a term of 2 years or upwards. So for an offense jiski punishment is 2 years or less, and then you are charging somebody with criminal conspiracy, you need sanction from the state government or the district magistrate has consented in writing to the initiation of such proceedings, because 120A and 120B are pretty much the most dangerous sections of the IPC, because 120A is an exception to the general norm that you need to do an overt act to attract criminal liability, right? As soon as you get into an agreement under 120A, you are dead, buddy. As in, with obviously an intent to commit an illegal act or a legal act by an illegal means, it is extremely it is absolutely arbitrary. And where is it coming from? It is from the McLahy dictum, MUCLAHY, McLahy versus Regina. That's very 1800 ka case law. Very, very important. Usually taught for the LLM entrances. But again, extremely important. Please note it down. ठीक है जी, 120A. Now, तो बेसिकली 2 साल से ऊपर की क्रिमिनल कॉन्स्पिरेसी लगानी है जहाँ पे पनिशमेंट डेथ वगैरह है, चले जाइए. बट अदरवाइज यू नीड द सैंक्शन ऑफ द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और द डिस्ट्रिक्ट मैजिस्ट्रेट. दैट इज योर क्वेश्चन फॉर द प्रीलिम्स जुडिशरी लेवल. नाउ prosecution of judges and public servants. When any person who is or was a judge or magistrate or a public servant not removed from his office save by or with the sanction of the government is accused of any offence alleged to have been committed by him while acting or purporting to act in the discharge of his official duty, no court shall take cognizance of such offence except with the previous sanction of the union or central government in the case of a person who is employed. In the case of a person who is employed, as the case may be by the state government, state level पे तो state government से sanction लेके आइए, union पे तो union से लेकर आइए, provided that where the alleged offence was committed by a person Okay, now subsection 2 is important. No court shall take of cognizance of any offense alleged to have been committed by any member of the armed forces of the Union. This is a popular question. While acting or purporting to act in the discharge of his official duty, except with the previous sanction of the central government. Why the central government? Why not the state one? आर्म फोर्सेस किसके अंडर आ रही हैं? यूनियन का काम है तो यूनियन वाले आएंगे. वकालत में भी यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया का यूजली हम पूछते हैं लाइक इन द लिटिगेशन पार्लेंस कि भाई यूनियन की तरफ से कौन है. दैट्स बेसिकली यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया की तरफ से कौन है, हु इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग देम. आर्म फोर्सेस कहाँ पे? कुछ सैंक्शन लेना पड़ेगा किसका? सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का. ठीक है जी, आगे आए. Prosecution for offences against marriage. Now, marriage and defamation both under the IPC, so they are much closer to the territory of private criminal wrongs. So therefore, we have made it mandatory that अगर आप marriage के लिए कुछ लेकर आ रहे हैं, आप complaint या आप defamation के लिए लेकर आ रहे हैं, as you've seen in Priya Ramani versus M.J. Akbar, the complaint can only be lodged by a person aggrieved by this matter, not some interested party in the general interests of societies. That is not the case because they are just, both of these, chapter 20 and chapter 21 of the IPC, are much more closer to the nature of general private wrongs. No court shall take cognizance of an offense punishable under chapter 20, that is offenses against basically for marriage, except upon a complaint made by some person aggrieved by the offense. Alright, otherwise तो फिर हर कोई किसी भी शिकायत लगा देगा कि जी उसकी शादी में कुछ मुझे सीन लग रहा है, अंडर चैप्टर 20 आ जाइए, तो कॉग्निसेंस नहीं ले पाएंगे. रिमेंबर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट primarily talking about cognizance here, where such person is under the age of 18 years or is an idiot or a lunatic. Basically, the person is incapable himself or herself to approach the magistrate. Then some other person may, with the leave of the court, make a complaint on his or her behalf, because we cannot deny such a right. Because if you are unable to come to the magistrate, then obviously we have to empower somebody else. Or when the husband, where such person is the husband and he's serving in any of the armed forces of the Union. So you want to lodge a grievance against your spouse, but you're posted in Ladakh and China is on your head. What do? Then obviously some other person authorized by the husband in accordance with the provisions of section 4 may make a complaint. Now let's skip this. I believe even if you can read this on your own, it will work out for you. Prosecution for defamation, this is chapter 21, sections 499, 500. No court shall take cognizance of any offence punishable under chapter 21 of the Indian Penal Code, except upon a complaint made by some person aggrieved by the offence. Again, interested parties, only aggrieved parties come in. Right, I don't think that I need to say anything more in this section. Then we go to cognizance specifically, as we've already seen under 200, but specifically for complaints, in complaint cases. Where was section 2 clause C reads as cognizable offences. Section 2 clause D reads as complaint. It's as simple as that. Section 2 clauses याद होने चाहिए. नहीं आ रहे याद? Pause this lecture right now. Go to section 2 wali tricks and rattle them first and then come back here. Okay, so now why do we have this dedicated chapter for complaints to magistrates? Think about it. So that we can filter out the genuine cases from the unfounded ones. Alright. Now complaints to magistrates, before this flies off left, right and center. A magistrate taking cognizance of offence on a complaint shall examine upon the oath. I believe we have already discussed this, so we are not going to go into 200 yet again. Let's go to 201. Procedure by magistrate not competent to take cognizance of the case. Now, everywhere we have used the word competent, right? So if the complaint is made to a magistrate who is not competent to take cognizance of the offence, he shall, if the complaint is in writing, return it for presentation to the proper court with an endorsement to that effect. If the complaint is not in writing, well, direct the complainant to the proper court. Well, then you go to the proper one, the guy who is competent, right? Postmortem of issue of process. Any magistrate on receipt of a complaint of an offence of which he is authorized to take cognizance, or which has been made over to him under section 192, that is, the case has come to you from other magistrate, may, if he thinks fit, may, this is an option, this is discretion, and shall, in a case where the accused is residing at a place beyond the area in which he is exercising his jurisdiction, postpone the issue against the accused, that is, he may postpone the issue of process against the accused and either inquire into the case himself or direct an investigation to be made by a police officer or by such other person as he thinks fit for the purpose of deciding whether or not there is sufficient ground for proceeding. तो एक तो इन्वेस्टिगेशन जी ये आ गई, एक थी 156 सबसेक्शन 3 अंडर चैप्टर 12, राइट? और अब हम कहाँ पे हैं? चैप्टर 15. चैप्टर्स आर प्रीटी इंपॉर्टेंट इन द सीआरपीसी because chapters basically dictate the flow of the process. All right, now why are you postponing the issue process? Because you have a doubt whether you want to proceed ahead or not. Why? Because see, any magistrate on receipt of a complaint of an offense of which he is authorized to take cognizance, कि आपके पास आया है, now you are in doubt कि whether you want to take cognizance, now whether you want to now basically not take cognizance, ignore what I just said, whether you want to issue process now. So you're just hanging on. So you become aware, sure enough, but you're just hanging on. If you order an investigation in this section, via this section that is, this is a post-cognizance investigation. So you want to be double sure before you start the issue of process. Okay? Under 156 subsection 3, there is a marked difference. You haven't taken any cognizance. Herein the case has been made over to you. Now you're thinking whether should I, as a magistrate, issue process or not. So you want to be double sure, you want the police to do some more work, you want them to provide you with some more evidence, so whether you want to go ahead or not. 202, mark this. This is a short question. Contrast the investigation that magistrate orders under 202 with under section 156. Always appears. We'll come to this point again in layer 2. We'll come to this point again in layer 3. This is one of the, the gold mine question. Always comes, always shows up, and there is no way on this planet that you will not know this difference, and that too in detail. Okay. Now we go to dismissal of complaint. We'll come to all of these in layer 2 and layer 3. If after considering the statements on oath, if any, of the complainant and of the witnesses and the result of the inquiry or investigation under section 202, the magistrate is of opinion there is no sufficient ground for proceeding, there is none. In fact, अगर हम chapter यहाँ पे आके देखें, so this is chapter 15. What did chapter 14 read as? Let's come to chapter 14. Conditions requisite for initiation of proceedings. Chapter 15 is complaints to the magistrate. So we are, just one step from initiation of proceedings. Now, what is this reading as? Chapter, just made a quick edit so that you don't have to go through the scrolling. So there is no sufficient ground for proceedings. This is like, now we are just one step. इससे एक कदम आगे रखा, proceeding चालू, right? 203, you can dismiss the complaint at this stage. So you have, considering the statements on oath, you know what exactly is the, you consider the result of the inquiry or investigation under section 202, and your opinion is there is no sufficient ground for proceedings. So you took cognizance and now you're dismissing the complaint. Okay, just made a quick edit again. Now, dismissal without examination is illegal. Write it down. You cannot dismiss. Once the complainant has come to you, you cannot dismiss the complaint without examination. You just cannot just throw it out of the window. It is absolutely illegal. 202, you scrutinize allegations. And why are you scrutinizing allegations under 202? You are preventing harassment to the accused. Write this pointer down. It helps magistrate to find some material to support the complaint. So you are ordering further investigation to get more material so that the accused may just not be harassed. Because actually speaking, us human beings are quite vindictive. So we are actually protecting the accused here. Now, if the court of session, if you're basically going to commit to the court of session, then obviously you examine the witnesses on oath. This 202 homework for you. Just read the section. Basics I have explained. 156 subsection 3 versus 202 investigation में फर्क क्या है? 202 वाली investigation, we are at the post cognizance stage. 156 subsection 3, this is the pre-cognizance stage. All right. Herein we are intimating the police to submit a report charge sheet to us so that we can see whether the case is worth taking cognizance of, whether you become judicially aware and you've taken notice of under 173, but you are waiting कि पहले investigation हो जाए, then you take cognizance, then you issue process. Basically, you initiate proceedings. 202, post cognizance. You need some more evidence to be collected. You find that the complaint is lacking on some grounds, there is some insufficiency in the entire facts and circumstances. You're ordering the police to dig a little bit more before you actually start the proceedings, because then we get the accused in the dock, and then we get him or her in the court of law, and then it's basically, sometimes, as they say, the process is the punishment. So before starting all of that, we are just making double sure that whether it's worth it, whether this case is worth the state's time or not, because state, sari machinery the state ki hai, and of course it's a crime against the society. Now section 203, you can dismiss and you can challenge such a dismissal order under revision. We'll go to revision later on in the course. Neither, what is revision? Revision is not an appeal, sort of an appeal, थोड़ा सा बाद में डिस्कस करते हैं, बट अंदर सीआरपीसी के अंदर इट्स कॉल्ड रिविजन, कि बस जरा दोबारा देखना, समथिंग लाइक अ रिव्यू पिटिशन इन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट अंडर आर्टिकल 137, राइट, समथिंग लाइक, सेम नहीं बोल रहे हैं, वहाँ से कंफ्यूज नहीं हो जाएगा, हाँ रिविजन है रिव्यू पिटिशन, नहीं, आई डिडंट से दैट. Neither an order of acquittal, it is, you've dismissed the complaint, it's not an order of complaint, not an order of acquittal, and neither is it an order of discharge. You haven't been discharged, you haven't been acquitted, right? The magistrate has just concluded there is no sufficient ground to proceed. Can they proceed later if new grounds are found? Of course they can. Common sense की बात है. Write down the case law. Poonam Jain versus Fazru, 2010. Can you file a second complaint after the first one has been dismissed? Yes, under exceptional circumstances. That is, dismissal was done due to an incomplete record. That is, all the facts were not on the table. It was a result of misunderstanding. You couldn't convey, the magistrate could not understand. New facts have now surfaced, so you want to lodge another complaint, right? There is no enabling provision of amendment to your complaint. Only you can do it. Basically, there is no express statute कि जी वो जो complaint जी लगाई थी आपके सामने, I want to change it. Mind you, all of these cases are different from the cases that have been taken cognizance of under a police report by the magistrate. Hope that is clear, right? We are specifically talking, since we are in the 200s, we are specifically talking about complaint wale cases, right? These are separate from magistrate taking cognizance under under 190, but based on 173. All right. Now, court ki permission ke saath, there is no express statute which says that I want to amend my original complaint, but with the permission of the court, as usual, you can do so. ठीक है जी. अब next we go to chapter 16, issue of process. Let's cover that out in the next lecture so that the course remains bifurcated and each and every detail remains separate. ठीक है जी. Now see you in issue of process. Take care.